I love me some pulled pork, but one of the problems with pulled pork is that it takes forever. Today we're gonna make some delicious pulled pork and we're gonna fix that. Let's get into it. What's up, barbecue fans? My name is Jake, and today we're doing some pulled pork, but we're doing it a little different. First hint, we are just over 4.5 hours in and we're about to wrap. Well, how the heck are we doing that? Well, earlier this morning, I got out a full package of boneless pork butt that I picked up from Costco. This was about 15 pounds, just shy of 15 pounds. And I opened it up, and what I did is I got out my knife and I cut it up into chunks. While I was doing that, there was also a couple small pieces that were just gonna burn, so I cut them out and put them aside. I also cut out some veins and just some of the fat that I didn't want to eat. Since it was gonna be cut up anyhow, I was able to get access to that and clean it up just a little bit for my personal preference. Then what we did is we got out some Yoder's pork seasoning and gave it a nice heavy coat all the way around. Now you might notice when I'm cutting this is actually a little bit frozen. It didn't defrost as quick as I thought it would. So we're moving forward with it because we had to get it on the pit. But what I did is I gave it a nice heavy coat on all the sides, and as you can see, it soaked in pretty darn quickly. I let it sit there for about 15-20 minutes, and then we came out to the Yoder. We put in some Bear Mountain hickory pellets. Then I filled up my pellet tube. I used the whole tube. That'll give us about 4.5 hours of smoke. We filled that up. We lit it with our torch. Remember, I always tell you guys this, give it a good 1 or 2 minutes to get going and then let it burn. While it was burning, we put on the cold pork on the top rack. I spread it out. You want to give yourself some air gaps there so the smoke can go around the meat. Then I turned on the Yoder, and then I blew out that smoke tube, and we kind of let the Yoder go right from a cold temp. Why are we doing that? Well, our meat's ice cold. Meat only takes smoke till about 165, so we put it on ice cold to get more smoke into it. We've got our pellet tube going, and when a pellet grill starts up, you get a whole bunch of extra smoke in the beginning, so we're kind of jamming a bunch of smoke. I set my temperatures at 250 for this cook, and then about 3.5 hours in, I was lazy, enjoying a rum and coke on the couch. I opened up the Fireboard app and I dialed it up to 275. And all I did is I didn't spray for an hour and a half. And then after that, I sprayed about every 45 minutes until we get to now. And about 15 minutes ago, I just gave it its final spray. And what are we doing here? So normally we would cook it in one old pork shoulder or pork butt. It takes a long time there. The other problem with that is that we only get seasoning around the outside, we only get bark around the outside, and we only get smoke around the outside. So by chopping this up, I'm getting seasoning around the whole thing, and I'm getting smoke around the whole thing, and we're gonna cook it quicker, right? The one thing I did while I was waiting for this to cook is I did make a vinegar sauce. We're gonna actually use this and put some of this in with our foil wrap here to give it some extra flavor, to help cook it a little quicker and just soften things up a little bit, right? Because we're cooking in such small pieces, some of the edges are getting a little crispy, but they'll soften right up. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna wrap in foil here. Let me pull some out. Now to give you an idea, right now we're sitting at about 155. I just had my chef's tip in here. See that? 156, 157. So right now we're sitting around 156, 157, which is a little bit lower than traditionally we would pull it off. But remember, normally we have that big old piece of meat there and everything is together and it's helping keep it nice and moist. Because I've cut all those up, all those pieces are gonna cook a little quicker on the outside and we're gonna get a little crunchy. So I've put a whole bunch of smoke in there. Again, most of the smoke that goes around the outside normally, now we're getting smoke around all those pieces. So we're gonna get a good amount of smoke, a good amount of bark. We're just gonna pull it off a little early and wrap it in a braising sauce to give it some flavor. I'm gonna use some cotton gloves here. Lots of people ask about these. You can get these on Amazon or whatever. I've got them in my Amazon store, but they are just cotton gloves. They just add a layer of protection when you're dealing with hot meat or whatever. and they're washable, right? You usually buy a 10-pack or whatever, and I think I've had them for a couple years at this point. Let's pull this guy off here. Let's have a look at a couple of these. Now here's what I'm talking about, right? I mean, that looks nice. But right here, you can see it getting a little dark there. It's not crunchy yet, but if we try and push it too far, it will get crunchy. This one little part is a little crunchy, but I mean, it's heavenly right in there, right? So what we're trying to do here is we're going to try and keep these together. Now this vinegar sauce, I made in another pulled pork video. I will link it up here, but it is absolutely delicious. And what we're gonna do is, first we're gonna give it a good old shake. I think we can really, I wanna keep it tight. So we'll put a little bit on here and we'll just wrap up these two pieces together. You gotta save something to eat with later on. But the big thing here is wrap this up super, super tight. We don't wanna steam the meat. Swap this out. For this one, I'm gonna put just a little bit on the bottom for these pieces because I'm gonna try and stack them. I mean, look at, we get bark all the way around. Now remember, this is 15 pounds of pork that we're doing and we're wrapping in under 5 hours. By the way, if you're wrapping your meat in 35-mile-an-hour winds, you really don't want to leave your lid open and let all that heat escape. My bad. I'm rushing through. We have a little gap in the wind. Anyhow, what I'm going to do now is we're going to dial this up to 325 because it's all nice and protected. It's got some moisture in there and I'm hungry. I just want to push this cook along, and I think we can have this done in no time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my chef temp thermometer here, X10, and we're just going to feel how tender that pork is. It's probably going to end up somewhere between 205-ish, but when you feel this and it feels like warm peanut butter, that's how you know it's done. So we'll see how long that takes, but I'll bring you back when that time comes. So right now we are at the 5.5 hour mark. We just hit 170. We've got a ways to go. However, I have a little bit of a problem that I have to deal with right now. So my wife just reminded me that we're going out for dinner in an hour. And this is not going to be done in an hour. So we're going to leverage the power of technology, and I'm going to connect our pit probe. We're going to program this guy to come up to a temperature and hold. Let me just get this guy in here and we'll show you how we're going to do that. So first off, we'll plug this guy into number 1. We'll put on a glove here. Yeah, I guess you can. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this into the biggest one, which will be this guy here. Close this back up. And if we look down there, you can see we're at 178. So we've got a little ways to go. What we're going to do here is we're going to grab our phone and I'm going to program in a program here. So we will go to programs. And we're going to add a new program, and this is going to be a temp program, and we will call this pulled, learn how to type, pulled pork, fast. And then what we're going to do is we are going to pit probe 1, this target temperature is going to be 195. Back, and then we're going to say we're going to hold temperature at 160. Done. Target temperature, I'm sorry, let's set our current temperature at 325, which it's at. We've got a target temp of 195 and we're going to hold at 160. We're going to start that program now. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to let the Yoder run at 325 until we hit 195 in that pit probe, okay? Once we hit 195, then I'm gonna let it come down to 160 and hold there until I get home. Now, the reason why I want to go into 195 is because we're already at 325. It's going to take a while for the Yoder to come down, and I don't want to end up with mushy pork, right? So it'll be late when I get back. So I'm gonna let this run. I did fill up my hopper. Last thing we want to do is run out of pellets while we're doing something like this. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come home, I'm gonna put it in my oven at 150, and then tomorrow I'll bring you back and I'll tell you how long it took to get finished to 195, so we can have an idea of how long the cook took. We'll look at the pork, and luckily for me, we'll get to eat some. I'll see you tomorrow. So here we are 20 hours later. The pork took about another hour to finish, and then once we hit that 195, the pit started to come down. So let me actually just show you what that looks like. And we'll go to sessions from yesterday. Yeah. So you can see that probably about an hour after I left, things started to come down in temperature. And what happened here is our pork peaked at 210. So maybe a touch high, but then it came down and it sat on the Yoder until about 9:30 or so, when I brought it inside. So as you can see, it ran till about 9:30 on the Yoder, and then what I did is I preheated my oven at about 155, and then we put these guys on a cooling rack in the oven, and they've actually been in the oven now for 16 hours or so, maybe actually 15 hours. And then I pull it out and we'll have a look. So I had to go make some more of my vinegar sauce. We used a bunch of it. So let me just get some cotton gloves on here because it is quite warm still. Get rid of my phone there. So the total cook time for 15 pounds of pork was about 6.5 hours this way. And remember, the center was a little bit frozen. So not too bad for 15 pounds of pork. I mean, I don't know what it looks like yet, but we'll find out here in 2 seconds. And we'll just grab one at a time. Oh, I don't want to get stuff all over the place. Oh, they're all leaking a little bit. So pull some of these guys out and have a look. Oh yeah. Look at that. Beautiful. Check out. Oh, it came apart as I was trying to pick it up. I think we can tell that it's moist, right? That's how it goes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly what we're looking for. This should be full of flavor because we've been soaking in this sauce. Let's open up one of these other guys here. Oh yeah. Oof. They're all looking good. I'm gonna throw this in the sauce a little bit. I mean, it's coming apart like crazy. You know what? I'm just gonna start to break all this apart. Beautiful. I'm gonna let it soak up this sauce here, and then I'm gonna get it out of the foil. Break all this up. There's actually so much juice down here from the little bit of vinegar sauce we put in and just the fat that rendered out. I don't know if I need any more. Well, I'll tell you what, it definitely looks like we spent 8 or 9 hours smoking 15 pounds of pork butt. Let's get a roll and see how it tastes. All right, got a roll here. Let's fill her on up. All right, let's try without any sauce first. The first thing I get right away is a bunch of smoky flavor. You can really taste that rub because we had it on all sides. You can really taste the smoke. Oh, hang on a second. You can taste the vinegar sauce. I think I might add just a little touch more, but this would be perfect to serve. And then those who want to add some more definitely could. But let me tell you what, that, my friends, is amazing. I mean, check this out. More smoke flavor, more flavor from our rub because it was on all the sides, and it cooked in a fraction of the time. I mean, not quite 6.5 hours, and we got pulled pork that tastes as good as something that sat on there for 8 or 9 or 10 hours. I mean, I'm gonna have to do a head-to-head, but as far as I'm concerned right now, this is just as good. I mean, I've never done it this way before, but I will be doing it this way again. If you wanna see how I made this vinegar sauce, I'll link to my other pulled pork video right here. Got some tips on how to cook amazing pulled pork there. If you got some value of the video, give it a thumbs up while you're down there. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks as always for watching. I'll see you soon.